Hey everyone, this is Pig for Life, and this is a video review for the recently released 2014 Hasbro Masterpiece Grimlock, and as well as a comparison with some of the previous versions of this mold that I personally own, including the original 2010 Hasbro release and the recent 30th Anniversary Takara reissue. This is actually my first Transformers review, so let me apologize in advance for the less than stellar quality and lighting. If people like this video, I'll work harder next time to develop a proper setup. So let me know if you like this or not, and if you'd like to see more. First up, I wanted to take a look at the Takara box, and then we'll do some comparisons. So as you see here, this is the the Hasbro 2014 Masterpiece Grimlock box. It's a very nice box. I really like it because it's in the new style of the Masterpiece line, the Hasbro Masterpiece line. So this is actually, if you look here, MP-03 Dinobot Leader Grimlock. And this is our first Autobot in the Hasbro, the new Hasbro line of Masterpiece figures. MP-03, MP-01 was Masterpiece Acid Storm, and MP-02 was Masterpiece Soundwave and his cassettes. So they had purple and black boxes, while here we see the red and white deco. It comes with the same kind of slipcover, which is kind of nice. And one of the nice things is, this time around you don't have to, like the Soundwave one, you had to cut open the slipcase and remove the slipcase to get access to the box. You had to like cut here and remove the slipcase completely and open from the top and bottom. This one, you can just open from the side and keep that slipcase intact and not have to fiddle around with it all the time. So a very nice box. Coming to the side here is the bio and the stats sheet. So let's see if I can zoom in real quick so you guys can see some of that. Sorry about the focus. So here is the bio. It says Masterpiece Grimlock. Weakness offends Grimlock. He considers none so weak as those who refuse to use their full strength to command victories. As a result, he's never had much respect for Optimus Prime. He barely even considers himself and his Dinobots to be part of the Autobot army most of the time. He only grudgingly helps the heroic Autobots because the tyranny of Megatron offends him even more than weakness. He longs for the day when Optimus Prime makes a final mistake, leaving a vacancy that Grimlock will be more than happy to fill. So very much in line with Grimlock's personality in the G1 toy and his and in the comics as well. So real quick look at his stats. On the back here, we see kind of what comes with the figure. So first up top, you see the accessories, the glowing sword, blaster. That's included the Dinobot crown of leadership. A little bit further down, it talks about the color-changing eyes, which they share the Dino mode, but they also have color-changing eyes in the robot mode. And then lastly, a picture of his robot mode, which they're calling Dinobot mode here. I don't know if that's a mistake or not, but it is what it is. Going back around here is really just a continuation of the Autobot logo from the front, and there we have it. So it's a very nice box. And now let's get back to doing some comparisons with the others. So first up, like I said, I'm going to show both the 2010 Hasbro and the 30th anniversary Takara release. So let's bring the Takara box up first. As you can see, that's in the traditional Takara Masterpiece style. The only difference between this box that I believe and the original Takara reissue is the Transformers 30 years logo on the bottom right here. As you can see, it's a bit taller. It is a bit thicker as well. But in terms of width, the Hasbro 2014 box is a little bit wider, but not by much. I think like maybe a ½ inch. So let's bring this down. And then let's look at the original Hasbro 2010 US release, which is in this kind of weirdly shaped box. He came packaged in Dino mode, which is why it's kind of shaped weird and small like this. And again, you can notice that they're using the same promo shots. The reason here is a lot of people saw the promo shots for the 2014 version, and there was a lot of mistransformation and so forth with that photo shoot, so I'm guessing Hasbro saw that, caught that, and decided to reuse the 2010 Hasbro ones. And you can tell it's the Hasbro one here primarily because of the paint apps on the legs, which are the arms here, as well as the thighs. And as we unbox, I'll show you exactly what I mean, that those are not present on this version, the 2014 version. And lastly, just for completeness, just because I have it, but I'm not going to do a comparison, is the Masterpiece MP-08X box, which is very similar in size. But mine's actually sealed. I'm going to keep it that way. It's collector's grade, so I may do a review if I buy the reissue of the MP-08X that's coming out, I think in the next couple months, so I may do that. So as far as the box goes, when you open up the 2014 Masterpiece Grimlock, it comes out in a clamshell, which we're kind of familiar with. It looks very much like the ones that we're familiar with the Takara reissues and the most recent Masterpiece line for the US. Mine actually came in packaged backwards, which is kind of like this, so I pulled it out like this, which is kind of weird. And what you get here is when you open it up, are Grimlock with his red eyes, the sword, his flame sword. We'll talk about the accessories a little bit later. The blaster. And finally, his crown. And that's it. So let's get this out of the way as well. So the first part of this video is now going to go into looking at Grimlock as a figure himself. Just in case this is your first time looking at a review of this mold, I don't want to assume that everyone's seen this mold. So let's start with some articulation. So he has a ball jointed head, good range of motion. Very quickly, he also has the eye color changing gimmick. So if you look at the back here, here's a little switch, I guess, and if you push that down, his eyes change to blue, which is the color I prefer when I display. But if you want to change it back, you take that little red knob, push it back up, and you got angry looking red-eyed Grimlock. Very cool. His shoulders are also in ball joints. Mine are tight, very nicely tightened. I know some of the reissues in the past, like the White Box Asian reissue, were said to have very loose shoulders. That's not the case, at least with mine, and I haven't heard it with others of the 2014. So you have upper bicep swivel. His two joints at the elbows, a lower one and a ratcheted higher one. His claws are also articulated. This one's super tight on mine. And then his hands, which are actually different because of the gimmick that we'll go into in a bit. They do both have wrist articulation. Let's go into the left one. The left one has a ball jointed thumb, and then also has an individual pointer finger that is articulated. The other three are also articulated at the same place, but they're all molded together. The left hand has that same ball jointed thumb, but the rest is all molded as a single piece, and that is to facilitate his light up feature, which, if you look back here, he has a little button that depresses in, and what you do is press that and the light comes out, and you use that with his sword and gun, which we'll show in a bit. As far as waist articulation, he does have about 45 degrees left and right. His hips go all the way forward, even more than 90 degrees. Both ways if you don't get blocked. It also has out to the side, which just flops down, and I know this figure has become infamous for that. I'll do comparisons with the others to see if they're the same or not a little bit later. The knee, there's upper thigh swivel, no knee swivel, but it does have nice tight knees that are ratcheted about 90 degrees of mobility there. I know some have said that their knees are super tight, almost to the point where it's scary to bend them for fear of breaking. Mine is not like that. Mine is very tight and in a good way, and I don't feel like I'm gonna break it. So moving back, and then lastly you have this kind of like toe articulation, which honestly I don't really see the point of. It does give you just a tiny bit of extra height. Honestly, you may be lucky and get a centimeter of extra height, but really, I honestly don't know what that's for. Alright, coming around to the side, it's a very nice figure. It's one of my favorite of the Masterpiece line, even though it's an older one and very simplistic. It's very reminiscent of the G1 toy in both look and transformation. There's a nice Autobot logo here, which is kind of a gimmick as well. We'll go into that in a little bit. So there you have him in robot mode. Since we have him already here, let's get into his accessories, which are his crown. If you look at the bottom, there's actually an indented side right here, which goes on the front. Grimlock. I can get it in. I don't know why it's being kind of a pain. There we go. And then we have his gun, double barrel gun. I did notice that, I don't know if you can see it, but there's actually air bubbles in here. None of my other ones have those air bubbles. I don't know why this one does. I guess it's quality control. I know other videos have shown that as well. Here's his sword, just chrome red here. And what you'll notice on the bottom of both of these is they both have little nubs here. And the reason for that is on his left hand, during that pinned area, it actually has it raises out, and they plug into that to facilitate him holding it. Mainly because the handles are quite short, and it's because that most of that space in his right hand is needed for the light up mechanism. These nubs don't really do anything in his left hand. So let's go with the sword. We'll stick in the sword first, press that button back, you can see it light up. Pretty cool. It probably looks a lot nicer if I were to turn the lights off, but I'm not going to do that. Same thing here. Put the gun in. Again, very cool. And then when you put it in the left hand, just make sure to get that peg stuck in here. Just be careful when you pull it out, or else that nub can break off. So that's it for Grimlock in robot mode. I'm going to do a quick transformation, and then we can get into comparisons afterwards. So we're going to show a quick transformation to alt mode. We'll start with the fist. Just open up these panels here on the forearm. Same thing with the other hand. Okay, and then we're going to focus on the lower body. The legs, you want to rotate them at the thighs so they come out like this here. And then the first thing we're going to do is flip this piece out, rotate out like that, and then bend the knee forward, basically as far as it can go. Then pull this part out of the tail, and then the tip you can flip out as well. From here, you're going to pull this piece and release the tab. It's kind of spring-loaded. Bring this around. Once you have that all done, rotate the leg once more so it's facing backwards, and then rotate this in while pulling this inwards. Oh, and I forgot, one thing you need to do is pull up the thigh straight, and then pull that black piece, the red piece down. So it's almost vertical. It doesn't completely go vertical, but it's close. If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to tab in the tail together in the back side. So again, on this side, same thing. Pull this out, pull the tail piece out, rotate that out, bend the knees all the way forward, release this tab, rotate it backwards, then once again raise the black part, then pull down the red piece so it's almost vertical, and rotate all this in like so. So once you have that, they all kind of, the tail kind of all pegs into place. There's pegs all along the way of the body. From the tip of the tail, to the chrome part of the tail, to the back as well. Okay. Now we're going to take the upper body, and it has a hinge mechanism, so it starts out here, comes out forward, and then goes back in like so. And so you'll have the lower body here already. And then counterintuitively, you want to bring the head forward first. The reason is you need to tab that. So then you can close the wings around the body. And close it up. Okay. Make sure everything's situated in the back correctly. And there we have Grimlock in alt mode. Easy transformation. Okay, from here let's look at Dino mode and just give a review of Dino mode. Dino mode has a lot of gimmicks actually. So they're all described in the book, but one of the first ones, if you have his head kind of facing down, you have his legs planted. If you push down on the shoulders, you'll see his head kind of rock up. And again, it's kind of hard to see. It's a very silly gimmick. It's probably the worst of the gimmicks that he has. Second is his jaw chomping mechanism. So you open that up, and then you compress this thing here, which I didn't even know about for a long time, but you press that and it closes. Okay. The head you can open up and you rotate it to get the eyes colors changed. Very easy. It's on the spring mechanism. Again, I'm going to keep this red for comparison's sake, even though I do like the blue a bit better. The last gimmick is his head turning one. So if you turn the tail, which I do as kind of a rotating thing, his head is supposed to rotate, which it kind of does. Some people actually go back and forth, which seems to work well as well. I always rotated it, but right now it seems like the back and forth is working a little bit better. But this is him in his alt mode, so let's just take a quick look. So that's his front, his side, his back. I mean, they did a really good job with this, I think. This other side looks very good. The articulation is what you would expect. For the most part, the only real differences are his head goes up and down, side to side. He has individual claws on each. No wrist or anything like that, but he does have elbow and ball jointed shoulders. He does have some side to side movement in his tail, which is nice. And that's it. Very simple. He has no storage or anything for his accessories in this mode. Okay, so just for completeness, we're going to transform Grimlock from alt mode back to robot mode. So it's, as you expect, basically the opposite. Open up his chest, bring the head back. There is a little slot here that has a little tab that it goes to. We can worry about that later. Open the wings up, like that. Chest up on the wings, and you can fan them out upwards if you'd like to make it more accurate. And that's the only purpose for it to have that kind of articulation. So that is the correct transformation. Move the chest up as so, and it's going to be kind of floppy the whole time. Some people were saying that their Grimlock chests are floppy. That is just how all of them are until everything gets kind of pegged in. So the next step is just to get the lower body tail form. So just split it slowly by untabbing, and then we're going to rotate the leg out. We're going to fold this part in. See, it has a little tab and there's a little slot that it goes into. Fold the tip of the tail in, fold that back, fold the back of the leg, and swing this in here. You do want to straighten out the knee. Pull this up, pull the leg down, and then swivel to make it facing forward the correct way. Same thing on this side. Rotate the leg out, rotate this tip in. You're going to pull this so that this tab again fits the little slot that you can barely see there. Fold the tail back so it fills in, and then flip this piece down. Pull the hip up, the black piece down, straighten out the leg, the knee, and then rotate forward. Okay, so we're almost done. Now that we have all that straightened out, you pull this down, and you'll see the Autobot logo being revealed. That works with this little mechanism here. This red piece actually pushes up into the spring-loaded mechanism that pushes the Autobot logo up and reveals it only in robot mode. Bring the arms down, open up the forearms, swing the fist out on both sides, close them up. Let's see, make sure this is tabbed in. Yep, it's tabbed in. And we are back in robot mode. And once again, just to show you how tall he is, he's actually basically the same exact height as in both modes. You can't see that, but as I said, he's basically the same height in both modes, about 8.5 inches to the top of the head. Okay, I'm going to do a quick comparison with the other molds that I have of Grimlock. For the rest of this review, for comparison's sakes, and to make it easy to distinguish, I'm going to keep the red eyes on the 2014 Hasbro, which is the main star of this video, and keep the other two that I'm bringing in with blue eyes. So first up is the Hasbro version, 2010. You can probably already pick out, as we talked before, the paint app differences. And then last, the 30th anniversary, or 30th anniversary Takara one. So I'm actually going to push the 2010 Hasbro one back for a second and really focus on these two initially, because of the fact that these actually have a lot more similarities. The 2014 Hasbro and the Takara one are much more similar than the two Hasbros with each other. So the first thing that I noticed was, and most people noticed, was these translucent pieces, this here, as well as the neck piece on here. On the 2014 version have a bluish, greenish, light tint to that piece, while the Takara, as well as the Hasbro 2010 version, have a grayish tint, I would say. I don't think it's bad, honestly. If you know, we didn't have this one as a predecessor, we probably wouldn't have cared. Probably wouldn't have complained about it being this color at all. I don't think. That said, we can move on to the other issue that a lot of people have been talking about, is the color of the gray of the 2014 one being lighter and quote-unquote cheaper, some think. It is definitely lighter. You might not be able to see it in my video because of the poor lighting conditions, but it is noticeably lighter when you have them next to each other. However, I don't know if this is a bad thing. It doesn't look cheap. I would say it just looks different. People did point out, and I did notice as well, if you see here, you can see more light diffusing through the 2014 one. People are saying that it's maybe attributed to poor quality plastic, less dense plastic. It may just be because the color is lighter. I don't know. I don't think it's a huge deal either way. But again, as with the chest, if we didn't have them to compare, I don't think anybody would have complained. I think people are nitpicking just because it's different. One of the other things you will notice are the claws. The toes are different. The Takara one is more... actually, my Takara one actually has a lot of issues with it. A lot of scratches and imperfections all over, like back here as well. Not a big deal to me, but they are definitely different in color. The 2014 Hasbro is a lot shinier. But again, not that big of a difference. The chest gold, chrome plating, I guess people call it. Again, is slightly different. I would say this one has a mix of gold, silver, and this one here is more shiny. I would say. Well, maybe shiny is the wrong word, but definitely different in color. A little bit more yellowish gold than the Hasbro 2014 version. You'll notice on the back the paint apps are the same. These are lighter than this. Again, it might just be because the gray plastic is lighter, and so the paint is lighter. The hips and the coloration of these hips, all these pieces here, the plastic does seem shinier on the Hasbro 2014 version, as well as the paint here, than the Takara version. Again, just different, not good or bad, at least to me. And then the chrome, silver chrome, I think looks essentially the same. I don't think there's really any difference there. Okay. So next we're going to do a comparison between the two Hasbro versions of the mold. Again, once again, the red-eyed left version is the 2014, and the one on the right is the Hasbro 2010. As I mentioned before, the 2014 box uses the 2010 Hasbro images, which are fairly obvious because of the paint apps on the arms, as well as the black on the hips and the silver on the thighs. As far as comparisons go, again, as with the Takara, you will see that the gray is a little bit lighter on the 2014 version. The same thing with the gold, a little bit lighter, less yellowy gold as before. Same thing with the translucent pieces. The red pieces, again, are a bit shinier, I would say, at least on mine, with the 2014 version. Oh, one thing I didn't notice before is that there's no gold painted here. It's kind of a gray color, which is like the Takara version, while this 2010 one has kind of gold painted in there. Never noticed that before. Huh. Learn something new every day. With the claws, again, they're more of a flat bronze color on the 2010 version, which is even more different than the Takara comparison we just did. The paint apps on the back, again, are a little bit lighter, and again, that's probably attributed to the lighter plastic overall. It's pretty similar again with the chrome on the silver. Honestly, not that much different anywhere else. Okay. Alright, well, those are for most of the robot comparisons as far as looks. Let's talk about the legs. So, this does not hold up. Very floppy. Let's see the Hasbro one. Success. Holds just fine. This one too. And the Takara version, let's see if it passes the test. Just fine on that side. Just fine on this side. So yeah, that definitely is an issue with the 2014 in particular. The knees, again, I showed it very tight and ratchety. On this one, the 2014, the knees here are still very tight. Not as clicky / ratchety, but still definitely nice. No need for concern. And the Hasbro 2010 is closer to the Takara one, not nearly as strong. as the, oops, sorry about that, as the 2014 version. Okay, so let's do some alt mode comparisons. Bring the Hasbro one in. And the Takara one in. For the most part, as we discussed before, there's really not that much difference. The one on the left with the red eyes is going to be the 2014 Hasbro version again. The one on the right here, right now, is the the 30th anniversary Takara version. So the differences, again, without going into detail again, is the translucent pieces. And the only other difference really are these two things. So the teeth on the Takara one are very pointy. Both Hasbro versions have the rounded off one. Similarly, you'll have, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but let's see. The Takara claws are also much sharper. I'm bringing the 2010 Hasbro one up. Again, the translucent pieces are different. The teeth, again, are the same. They're both rounded. The claws are the same. They're both rounded. And again, besides the differences that we pointed out before, including these differences here in the gold piece, really no real difference for the most part. I will say, so we were talking about the gray plastic. I will say that even though this is lighter and maybe perceived as cheaper, I see many more, I guess, swirls, gray plastic swirls in this version. Actually, both the Hasbro 2010 and the Takara version have swirls in numerous places in the gray plastic. For the Hasbro 2014 version, I don't see any on mine, which is nice. I mean, that's a plus that it has going forward, at least in my version. Okay, going back to the Hasbro one, the paint apps here are really the only difference. Everywhere else is essentially the same, as we pointed out. Okay. Let's take these out and I'll give you some measurements. That's the reason I brought this here, is that you can see that, well, you probably can't see, but the alt mode standing like that is about 8.5 inches, and surprisingly the robot mode is also about that as well. Let's bring that back out. So there we have it. A complete review of the figure, as well as comparisons with the molds that I have. Hopefully this informed a lot of people who had questions about this guy and were on the fence about purchasing him. I would say my recommendation, if you don't have this mold, definitely get it. It's a Toys R Us exclusive, for currently priced at $79.99 in the US. It was actually priced at $59.99 in the US when it first was released, and before it even hit my coast, which is the East Coast. Toys R Us had already raised the price by $20. So those in the Midwest and the West Coast and some parts of the South were lucky enough to be able to get it at $60. But even at $80, I think it's a great value. Yeah, it's a little bit different. The colors are different. Maybe the plastic is a little bit cheaper. It doesn't have as many paint apps as the 2010 version. But overall, for $80, I don't think you can go wrong. He's a great figure. Again, simple transformation. kind of gimmicky, but he looks fantastic. I mean, I don't think it'd be hard, I think, to get a much better representation of Grimlock. As far as some of the qualms people have with the greenish chest and the lack of paint apps and the floppy legs, I actually ordered some future floor polish by Pledge to tighten that up. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. I know other people on the TFW forums have successfully fixed that. I've never had to use feature before on a figure. Again, I'm new to collecting, so I've never had to do that, but I'm sure it's going to be pretty easy to do, and there's some tutorials out there already. So again, thanks everyone for looking at my first review. If you like it, I will gladly do more. I don't think I'll be able to cover that much new ground with what I have, since I mostly collect Masterpiece, but if there's a Masterpiece figure that you'd like me to review, I'm happy to do so. Any suggestions, positive or negative, critiques are always welcome. Thanks a lot, and have a good one.